Holy Alfred Doppelganger, Batman! Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And welcome to the show where I, the Batman, the animated series novice, is taken through Batman, the animated series by our resident expert here, BlueDragonFive.
Yeah, folks, see, long ago I made a vow to educate Tiki in the ways of Batman the Animated Series. Let's just say serving as his spirit guide to Gotham, in a way.
And today we're talking about Feet of Clay Part 1 here on the animated Batcave. Ooh.
Yeah.
All right, Dragon, we are back. Just chugging along on this thing, on this long multi-year project of ours. Of course, the main reason why we're kind of pumping out some content here is that we're kind of building to the Harley Quinn of it all before the year's end, because this is Harley Quinn's year. But before we get into that, Dragon, let's talk about Feet of Clay, which is, of course, this is a two-parter. And Dragon, this is so much better than whatever the hell it was, Claws of the Cat or whatever.
Cat in the Claw.
Cat in the Claw, yeah. Whatever, I already forgot. Oh, Dragon, I gotta say, like, just going into this as a two-parter, I was kind of like, I had a little bit of hesitation, like, oh god, I hope it's not like that. But no, this is much more in line with the Two-Face than the Cat in the Claw of it all. I was very satisfied with this. I thought it had a lot of interesting body horror elements to it, especially in the second half, but I guess we'll get into it with the first half here. Dragon, any background you want to share?
Yeah, sure. Let me kind of do a little walkthrough here. So this episode, part 1, was directed by Dick Sebast. Now, Dick Sebast, he's best known for directing a very notable two-parter episode, Robin's Reckoning. Of course, that's where they tackle the Robin origin, and he took the first part of that. I don't know if he just exclusively takes the first parts of these two-parters when he works on them, but I just know it's consistent with what he's done with, again, Robin's Reckoning. He kind of gets some of the lesser renowned ones, but of course, I think Robin's Reckoning is probably the proudest episode he's done. So he directed this. Let's see. Marv Wolfman wrote this. Now, Marv Wolfman, Tiki, he is a known comics writer. He's famous for writing the good. I emphasize good because I know your mind's going to jump to the minute I say this. Teen Titans. He wrote the comics Teen Titans, which of course builds kind of the mythos, and it's kind of what gives us kind of all the good stuff. The Teen Titans in the first place, at the good animated show.
Yes.
The point, and I've actually met Marv Wolfman, nice guy. It keeps in my mind that he worked on this episode, so I still need to bring that up to him next time I meet him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Marv Wolfman, he wrote this, and the main thing you'll notice is that the big earmark of this is a Marv Wolfman episode is that his Batman is written very specifically how he writes his Batman in the comics. That's why Batman is a little bit more kind of a little more rough and tumble. This is like the first time they're ushering in the Batman. He's the interrogator Batman, the intimidating Batman. We get a lot of that. The Batman, a few words. We get a lot of that in this episode. That's very consistent with kind of. Wolfman just had kind of these really clever, sadistic kind of Batman moments in his comics that we
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, he had some. Especially with comeuppances, which of course we'll get to in the second episode. Marv Wolfman's kind of the comeuppance go-to guy with Batman at many a time.
I guess, like, in the moment watching the episode, I didn't notice too much of a change in Batman's character, but now that you mention it, yeah, there's some pretty off-the-wall interrogation tactic in this episode.
It is cool, though, and you see how it sticks. A lot of people, honestly, this is a go-to episode for me with a lot for Batman, and I would imagine with a lot of people, it's a very memorable episode. That's kind of the big takeaway from this two-parter.
No, I liked it quite a bit, Dragon. It very much feels like, that great kind of like early 90s. Like, I'm sorry I keep going back to Don Bluth for like the quintessential example, but it really does kind of like feel like in that style of like, this dark and gritty world that has some lightness to it, some imagination to it, but at the same time, it's a very intense story in a lot of elements.
Also, the other writer, they have like the teleplay and then the original, like the story and the writer. Basically, so it's kind of a team effort. They have Michael Reeves, and of course, Michael Reeves I can't sing the praises of enough, because what Michael Reeves brought to this episode was a very noir. The first part of this feels very noir. Film noir, and of course, Michael Reeves. The thing I chat with him, he wrote a couple of my favorite episodes, like I Am the Night, which is a Jim Gordon episode, and he also wrote, of course, Mask of the Phantasm. So yeah, I got some Reeves magic worked on this two-parter here and there. That's always nice. The animation studio that worked on this, we have two different animation studios, and I think the difference is very noticeable. We have
big time, big time.
so that's why I want to stress that, Tiki, and that's why I think there's merit in kind of
Part
breaking.
2 basically looks like an anime.
Well, we'll get there.
Yeah, we will.
There's a very specific reason for that, but we'll get. The point is, but again, remember, it's all done overseas, Tiki, so they're all kind
of... yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I totally understood that. I'm just saying, like, part two straight up looks like it takes place in the Akira universe or something in some moments.
In some moments, most surely. So we have ACOM. ACOM does animation on this one. ACOM, they're not at the bottom of the heap of the animation studios that the Batman series is like a number of animation studios. It's like they're not at the bottom, but they're like 3 away from the bottom. You know, ACOM's kind of get the grunt work of the animation, but they still I think they did a really nice job with this one though.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, they loved this two-parter. They kind of thought it was in the frame of Mr. Freeze. They thought it would have been like a great standalone, but they kind of along the lines they brought characters like Mr. Freeze and Two-Face. I'm sorry, like Mr. Freeze and Clayface back.
You know what's interesting about this being a two-parter, Dragon, is there are so many similarities to me between this and Two-Face.
And you're not the first to point that out. Again, with
sure
face,
I'm not.
With a character, with a face motif, you got to imagine that.
Of course, right. But I mean, even more than that, just the duology of the character, you know, the psychology of it all, the fact that part 1 is basically like an origin story for the man behind the monster.
Right. Also, I just want to get this out, so we'll basically have very little to go through in the background for the second part, just to get it out here, I guess. Ron Perlman, of course, does the voice of Matt Hagen, of our actor here, and I think he does an excellent job. Let's see. Also, here's a fun one too. This might blow your mind if you don't know this. So, Max Schreck was considered for Batman the Animated Series, the Christopher Walken character from Batman Returns. And Tim Burton actually, from what's been reported, Tim Burton shot him down on that, saying, "Nah, let's not use Max Schreck." So what this leads to Roland Daggett. Now, Roland Daggett, as you know, a John Daggett appears in Dark Knight Rises.
Yes.
And that is a direct pull from the animated series, which I always love. That's evidence that Christopher Nolan watched Batman the Animated Series, which is really cool.
Well, yeah, I would hope that Christopher Nolan watched Batman the Animated Series, but
certainly. But regardless, there's other evidence. I'm just saying Daggett's like the very direct, on the nose correlation. Like, okay, that's a character who was created especially for the animated series, and that we brought in there.
Yeah.
So, Roland Daggett.
Everyone wanted to see Nolan's version of Harley Quinn. I remember that was a big thing.
Of course, that's what Anne Hathaway was promised in the audition.
Oh God!
She came in with a Harley Quinn at the ready. Did not need it. So Roland Daggett is just basically, he's a kind of a neat cross between a Max Schreck type, because basically the businessman like Max Schreck, but also look-wise, he is very much styled, and you'll notice, especially by the hair, he's influenced by Norman Osborn.
I did kind of notice that a little bit, yeah.
It was a direct kind of stylistically, he looks like Norman Osborn, but characterized it's original kind of, it's a trippy blend. Okay, and lastly, of course, just the character of Two-Face himself. Now, we have two Two-Faces in the comics, T. Well, there are multiple Two-Faces in the comics. What they did here is they blended 2 of them. The actor Two-Face was the original one that was created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger. Bob Kane, actually, I get Yeah, now I get a sense that Bob Kane had a bigger influence on Clayface, because Clayface, he ties in old Hollywood and then acting and horror movies, and Bob Kane was a huge film buff, hence the kind of the stylistic kind of vibe he was going for with Batman before Bill Finger massaged it out and kind of got it just right. So again, that's just the big movie influences. That's all coming from Bob Kane. I get a very strong sense of that. Was Basil Karloff, of course, pulling from Boris Karloff and Basil Rathbone. That's where those names came from. That's where you get Basil Karloff from, and that's the one that's in the Arkham games and all sorts of stuff. So that's basically any actor version of I keep doing it, darn it, stupid, of Clayface. Because part of me just wants to call him Matt Hagen. That's undercutting the point. Anyway, so anytime you have an actor Clayface, that's Basil Karloff. That's who that's in reference to. But Matt Hagen was kind of a catchier name, and also Matt Hagen, the Matt Hagen Clayface, from what I understand, he was like the second or third Clayface, and he was known for the shape shifting. So that's really where they brought it together, because Carlo was, he was like the face morpher guy. That's where you start off in the 40s with Clayface. You morph the face, and okay, he's a different
Which,
guy.
of course, really fits with the Karloff angle of it all.
Yeah, and they kind of pulled a little bit of that in '60s Batman in homage to Clayface. So yeah, that's kind of where you get some of that from. Anyway, so that's pretty much that's all you need to know going into this. Okay.
Okay. All right. So we start things off on the Gotham Island tramway.
Yes. Yes. Very old school noir opening, by the way, just with this little clandestine meeting we have going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the first appearance of Lucius Fox in the animated series, by the way.
Yeah, and I really like the characterization. We have a great scene with him and Bruce later on that I thought was a great. Conroy really hit it out of the park there. But we'll get to that. I think that's in part 2.
No, it's in this part.
It is? Okay.
It's really good. I can't wait to get to it.
Anyway.
So yes, we have we're building to like a mysterious figure. We have we see Wayne Enterprise.
Dragon, I love the fact that this is Bruce Wayne. It's revealed to be Bruce Wayne, but it starts out as a mysterious figure, so it lets you know visually right away something's a little bit aloof with this whole situation.
I know. And of course, it's more kind of questions being raised. Again, the Wayne Enterprise car, and then of course Lucius Fox. What is he doing here? So it's Bruce Wayne in a trench coat, of course, with this really mysterious secret meeting going on outside kind of this abandoned location. It sounds highly suspect, and then again, I like that the rationale is kind of here that we kind of have some exposition here as they're walking through this really kind of ratty looking abandoned tramway. Where Roland Daggett is trying to take over Wayne Enterprise, and again, people point out the plot point, of course, very similar to what is in Dark Knight Rises, which, of course, Daggett trying to take over Wayne Enterprises.
Sure.
Daggett's trying to take over Wayne Enterprises, through insider trading, and the idea is that Lucius has the evidence that can put him away. And basically, Bruce, he was going to take it to the DA, but Bruce kind of called him spur of the moment, and said, bring it to me directly, and we couldn't discuss this in the office because they're wandering years and stuff. He's got inside men, quite possibly.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, all the stuff to put him away would be in this briefcase, and says, he's about to hand it over to Bruce, and then of course says, "Oh yeah, this will put Daggett away. Get rid of Daggett once and for all. Put him behind bars." He says, "Yes, Lucius, that's if I give it to him, but I won't." Oh man, it's so creepy hearing Kevin Conroy kind of turn villainous with kind of the Bruce Wayne delivery there, because Bruce Wayne, as we established,
I'm Bruce Wayne.
But didn't make kind of your skin crawl for a moment? Just
yeah, for sure.
And again, it's just so callous because it's so he has it turns so bizarre. It's almost like dream logic in a way of if I do that, but I won't. Right. He has this great eerie line where he says, "I'm accepting your resignation, Mr. Fox." it's so haunting, so eerie, almost like Terminator-esque. I don't know. So anyway, so we reveal evil, corrupt Bruce, and he has gunmen up top to ensure this. And he basically gets into a tug of war with Lucius over the case, and Lucius, he kind of breaks the handle off. He's making a run for it. Lucius Fox sticks to his guns. He sticks up for that company, man. He's going for it. He's saving the day.
Mm-hmm.
So he's running away, and one, to save his own life. Batman, of course, sees some gunshots are fired. I love this. I love it again. Such a messing with your mind type opening here, where we see Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
something's up here, and then of course Batman's hearing gunshots.
Right.
The Batman's coming to the rescue. We see Lucius is knocked out by a sign that falls right on his head, and we have this. We meet Daggett's henchmen. Now, Daggett's henchmen are cool. I like how we really make them special here. Very noirish. They have their own motifs. So we have a Raymond Bell. Raymond Bell is the guy with the police band. He's the guy who kind of listens in. That's how he knows the cops are coming after all the gunfire.
Uh-huh.
I like how we set this stuff up. So, with a cool Batman entrance where it just drops down. We see the cape dropping down, and it's really cool. So we gotta get out of here. It's too late for that dirtbag. Oh god.
Now there's a fight that's there's one move in this fight that I kind of laughed at where the thug literally trips Batman. Batman literally gets tripped, Dragon.
Well, the funny thing, I'll tell you what's so funny about it. One, we have this awesome Tarzan swing that Batman pulls. He just kind of knocks right into the trio of the thugs, and he's getting. Now, here's the thing I completely forgot about rewatching this because mainly I jumped to the second part for obvious reasons, but anyway, the first part, the little subtle details get lost on you. And I completely forgot that Batman got into this really the battle you're talking about, too, like the tripping and everything, with germs of all people, with germs. The little, the Weasley, the most Weasley out of the trio. Well, again, I forgot how intimidating germs kind of. I mean, again, physics.
we have this whole like mini fight scene on a bunch of like gear works.
Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting fight. And again, these are the sorts of things I like that we have with Batman. Where again, he is a human guy. Where he can take some hits. I always think there is a barometer. Like I think certain people should be able to put more of a fight than guys like Germs. If I'm being honest.
Right.
But at the same time, I do respect that we're not afraid to show Batman. Again, we have stakes built around Batman. Again, he could get hurt. He's a human guy. So he's surprisingly putting up quite the fight and the moving gears. Batman,
I gotta say, I definitely got a great Mouse Detective vibe from those gears.
Yeah. One of my favorite moves, and I love this. I love it when Batman can do stuff like this. Where Batman basically he disarms Raymond Bell. He basically pulls a shotgun on Batman. Basically, Batman disarms him, and this is the kind of thing I love here. He whacks him with his own shotgun.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I thought that was so cool. And then he's jumping down to the railing at the third guy. Oh man, he's jumping down. He does that really great railing push where he pushes the one guy as he himself is getting pushed back. So cool action right at the top of this. Now, before he can tend to Lucius, the GCPD arrive, which means Batman has to make an exit. And importantly, Batman did not see that Bruce Wayne was there.
Right, and then of course Lucius basically points the finger at Bruce Wayne to the cops.
Yep, he kind of sprawls out, and verbally he sprawls out, "Bruce Wayne set me up."
Okay, so let's
basically
see.
Batman and the two goons get away. So the third guy, he's off the least interesting of the guys. They okay, we're not going to figure out this one. We'll take care of him the first day. He's under arrest. Okay,
Right.
All right. Okay, let's see. So following that, we have quote unquote Bruce Wayne. Passing a theater. I love this. He's passing a movie theater, which one, of course, is in tune with Bruce Wayne. More accurately, is a movie featuring work of the great Matt Hagen. With the movie Gangbuster.
Who are you gonna call? Gangbusters.
And it's kind of again. I
it's
pointed this
out. Better
out.
Movie than Gangster Squad.
Possibly, quite possibly. And it's funny. I love that we had like a little Easter egg that in the Gray Ghost episode on that TV Guide, kind of that People Magazine or TV Guide article at the very end when Simon Trent's kind of signing all the autographs. You'll notice there's like a little blurb at the very top mentioning Matt Hagen.
Oh, so nice.
It's kind of cool that we built Matt Hagen a little bit. It's kind of neat that we cemented him around because the idea also should.
It's kind of like a mini version of how we sew in Harvey Dent before the Two-Face episode.
Yeah, it's like it's a less involved version of that.
Of course.
One other thing I should mention to you, this is important, is that just so you know, the actor versions of Two-Face, which is what we're doing here as well, is that he's a B movie actor. So this is a guy like on his last legs in Hollywood. That's kind of definitely a B.
What's interesting about this, Dragon, is that I kind of I mean, I guess the only comparison between him and Mysterio is really the show business angle of it all, but I did kind of get a little bit of a Mysterio vibe from him.
Oh, sure. I could see that. So let's see. So we're speaking of the movie. I like the transition there. Just Bruce Wayne's walking the streets, and then we're at the movie lot. We're at the Imperial Pictures lot, which, by the way, is based on Warner Brothers, which is kind of cool design-wise.
Yeah.
So let's see. So they're shooting the new Matt Hagen film. Of course, Matt Hagen seems to be a no-show. So his stand-in Teddy goes to his trailer. Really nice trailer, by the way. It's got a nice, fancy trailer.
I gotta say, I really appreciate the Teddy character. Like, this is one of the things I think the show is excelling at for me. And like I said, folks, we're looking at this from a point of view where I haven't seen any of these episodes, so I'm kind of like, discovering all the nuances of the show for the first time. But Dragon, I gotta say, all these side characters are really, they really pop. You know what I mean? It's like Teddy has a genuine concern for Matt in this episode.
And there's actually, Tiki, I'm so glad you brought up Teddy, because there's something I found out about Teddy, and unfortunately I cannot cite it directly, because the time has passed here. I heard on like an interview. I don't know if it was Paul Dini or Kevin Altieri. I want to say it was one of those two guys, but I read it somewhere that there was an underlying. I mean, it was confirmed. So I mean, I because I can't cite directly. I mean, you gotta take it with a grain of salt. But there was kind of a new level was added to this years later that I never knew about, and they kind of said it was intentional, but yeah, they had to keep it really subtle. Is that there was a notion that what they were aiming for is that Teddy was in a relationship with Matt.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Okay.
That's why he's at his house in the second part.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
That's why
Huh.
I'm just saying that was I don't think it was retroactive. From what I heard, it might have been Paul Dini who said this. That they said that was the again they knew it wasn't really going to transfer. That was the intent that they were trying to spend.
Of course, yeah.
Again, the only thing it might undercut is that later appearances. Matt kind of falls for a woman in another episode, but then again, he might things change. You never know.
Sexuality is a fluid stream, my friend.
Exactly, you never know. So it's
Right,
unclear.
right.
Again, it might be they kept it subtle, so it might have been fully there, might not have been. I don't know. It's something that I think makes the episode a little more
I
interesting.
like that. Yeah, yeah.
I'm down for it. I think it's kind of cool.
Watching the episode on face value, I kind of just get it as like, a friendship, partnership kind of thing. But yeah,
I like that it works either way, though. It's
yeah,
cool.
sure.
It's kind of like the Mr. Smiley and Mr. Frowny from Steven Universe.
Right. Oh, God. You mean Mr. Smiley and Neil Gaiman?
Yes. Okay, anyway, so what I mentioned the subtext. But the point is, Teddy's a really likable, sad character in a way.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, so Matt Hagen's in the middle of a meltdown in his trailer, looking for his Renew You cream.
And Dragon, I got to say, I love all the allegories to drug addiction in this episode.
I know, and of course, we hit upon a little bit of drug addiction before with the It's Never Too Late episode with Arnold Stromwell and his son. We've dealt with drugs beforehand in Batman.
Sure, but I think this is a much more subtle way to go about it, because it's not like, it's not really even a substance. You know what I mean? It's more like, it's more pun intended. It's more masked than that. It's a more masked allegory.
Speaking of that, Tiki, I like of course, mask is just the perfect word to describe it. But yeah, I mean, it is absolutely an allegory for addiction. Of course, like you're dealing with a friend who's kind of addicted to something, but at the same time, it also is sort of he's addicted to fame as well. He's clinging on to his fame with this cream.
Right.
He's clinging to Hollywood, through basically, well, as we're going to learn, his livelihood was impacted by a near fatal car accident, basically a disfiguring car accident. And again, as an actor, I mean, that's kind of like limits your opportunities if you're really scarred. I really wonder, because I know Mark Hamill was like, he was wondering if he was going to be Clayface, but before he knew he was going to be the Joker, he was really interested in the show. Like, he was really fascinated by the Clayface episode. He thought he might actually played Clayface at one point. And I got to wonder if perhaps because Mark Hamill was he was in a car accident himself, and he was scarred, and they had to kind of do that thing in the Empire.
Sure.
He's kind of rebuffed that a little bit. Just the fact of the little disfiguring thing. I wonder if that maybe spoke to him a little bit.
I could see that.
Well thought. Anyway, yeah. So Matt's having a tantrum. Sorry, take us through some of this. Go on.
Yeah, sure. So let me see. So of course, he's just talking about the fact that basically the cream wears off after 24 hours, and he has to start it all over again. It's kind of like a never-ending process for him.
And he feels pain. He goes through like withdrawal, and he feels pain. So that's why he really absolutely needs the stuff.
And let's see.
We established that Matt has to do favors for Daggett for more, and he's kind of under Daggett's thumb.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, what we do here is like, I love this thing. I love how we can have our cake and eat it too with this. And this is the kind of stuff I always say we should absolutely do with Clayface. And I love that Gotham's kind of taking a page from this sort of thing, where I love that we start Clayface off at a point where it starts with the face. You can mold the face at first, and then as it goes on, you can mold the whole body.
Yeah, I like that, Dragon. I agree. I like that, even at the beginning of the episode, we still, the name Clayface still very much makes sense. It's less an origin story and more just kind of like him sort of coming into his own. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, that's a Clayface. Back in the Nolan speculatory days for like what the third Batman movie is going to be, say if we ever did Clayface again, just do just mold the face, and we could, let's ground it, but still do it, man. Because yeah, it's what they did in the '40s, and it was still pretty cool.
Right.
All right, so let's see. So this compels Matt. So basically, Matt wants to get out from under Daggett's thumb. He wants to find a way. Teddy is making some points like, Matt, you got to stop using this stuff. He says, yeah, I'm gonna. Instead of like just taking Teddy's advice, he's kind of inspired by Teddy's advice. Yeah, you're right, Teddy. This is no arrangement. I'm gonna find a way to get a lot more on my own.
Because that's going to be healthy.
Sure. But
Okay,
I mean,
so
yeah.
then we cut to Daggett, and he has his own personal Alfred.
I tell you, you know who voices Roland Daggett, don't you?
Tell me.
Ed Asner.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
We actually have some of our favorites are in this episode. Not only do we have Ed Asner, but as Germs, we have another one of our favorites, the great Ed Begley Jr.
Oh God.
Who actually he's done a number of voices in Batman. Of course, he was in Batman Forever.
Of course, we love Ron Perlman too. Let's not Perlman short.
I addressed him at the top, and let's just weigh in. What do you think of him as Matt Hagen, Tiki?
I like him quite a bit. I think the performance is a little bit kind of like Jekyll and Hyde-esque in a way, which to me, Dragon, the only thing that's kind of off about it in ways it feels a little bit like almost a little too similar to Two-Face.
The weird thing is, I mean, it kind of plays into the actor quality, though. It kind of plays into that, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, we'll talk about Matt a little bit more later on. So let's
Sure.
Daggett. We're at Daggett Industries. We have kind of a neat little transition there. Just like in the minute he mentions Daggett, and of course we're at Daggett Industries. Of course, again, he's with his henchman Germs and Bell, and again, I like how we delineate those. One's like terrified, one's a germaphobe, and the other one is he's always listening to a police band. He's always kind of like listening to like bells and sirens, if you will.
Okay, wait. So personal Alfred is Germs, right?
Yes.
And now, just to clarify, Dragon, you know why I make the Alfred comparison, right? Just on the design level.
Yeah, the mustache. And he's kind of
All right. I just want to be sure you knew where I was coming from.
And he's basically I love Ed Begley Jr. Of course, our guy, angry Ed Begley Jr. as well. But in this case, it just shows you how depth the performer. This is where I fall in love with Ed Begley Jr. By the way, like this show, because he has so many great variety of roles. He's played at least 4 characters in Batman. And I'm just saying Batman period. He might have done more, honestly, because I know he's in Batman Forever. He was, he did at least 2 characters in the animated series, and did a really great character in Batman Beyond. So he's done a lot of great stuff for Batman. In this case, he's never played the same character, which is fascinating. So here he's the overzealous suck up to like, you'll listen to Mr. Daggett when he's talking to you, because he lifts Bell's headset off. That's the Alfred quality I'm picking up on right there. He's like the suck up version of Alfred almost.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So Daggett's a little worried about Hagen because kind of botched the last job, and he says, okay, like there's no way this can trace back to me, right? So it's a hired gun, no names. He doesn't know, he's working. For you, he's disappointed how Hagen has botched the assignment. We're getting kind of a visual tour of the Renew You lab, which I like because that's going to pay off by the end of this episode.
Sure.
He says, we need Fox and Hagen both dealt with. They're both loose ends. We need them dealt with. As in, again, they're not saying killed, but they're very much implying I need him killed. And I like that at Germs, while he's such a prissy guy, at the same time he is, he's one of the go-to assassins.
Again, kind of like Alfred,
Yep, and of course
I'm not saying Alfred is like an assassin by profession. I'm just saying, like, if he wanted to get into that profession, he'd do a really good job at it.
Now,
anyways,
let me hear this. So we have there is the question: how do we get to Matt Hagen? He's a master of disguise, especially with that cream. If he wasn't already as an actor. Something I really like about this episode, I like that. I love it when we spend time in old Hollywood with Matt Hagen, not only as a B movie actor, but at the same time just kind of as just kind of the fall of the movie actor, and that style of Hollywood where you'd have a lot of blackmail going on, where studio executives have had one over on the actors a lot of the time, and that's kind of a vibe I get between Daggett and Hagen, which is kind of like a guy holding power over Hagen, like a studio executive almost.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. So, of course, Daggett knows that Hagen is going to return for more Renew You because he's addicted. So it's only a matter of time. He'll come to us. Just basically wait here next to the product. He'll break in. So later that night.
All right. So Bruce reveals himself.
Yes, Higgins has snuck into the lab, and he uses a batch as Germs and Bell walk in. Again, it's like Hagen. He's not exactly
Like he goes like straight for the batch and just goes like dives right in like face first.
yeah. Well, he like, scoops some up and he rubs it on his face and he morphs it into Bruce Wayne, not thinking at all this is suspicious. He tries to play it off cool.
Yeah, and of course the guards they point out like we're not idiots. We know you're Hagen.
By the way, I like to think that Hagen's is good an actor that he can actually mimic the Bruce Wayne voice. That's my fan theory. I like to think that he's doing a really good Bruce Wayne impression.
I can see that.
I was saying later on, I think the acting probably gets better if he can mold his vocal cords more. But I think still in this case, he's doing a really good Kevin Conroy impression.
All right.
Yeah, so they catch him and things go really horrific here. So they got him. He tries pulling the Bruce Wayne con, no luck, which leads to a scuffle. He's trying to leave. He's trying to get the renew you guys. Like again, this feels very old Hollywood. It feels like very like kind of actors involved with the mob or something. Here it's like now like they have him as mercy, and this is old school gangster stuff. This feels very Michael Reeves right here. This is like where he's. It's very brutal for a kid show. Essentially, they drown him and renew you.
Yeah, Dragon. I would say this is definitely probably the most graphic of the Batman the Animated Series episodes we've covered so far. What do you say?
Because he's saying like, no, not that way, because he's drowning.
Right. Well, it's basically the equivalent of like drowning a man in cement or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It is really horrifying. And here's the old Tiki. This is the gangster touch I'm talking about. Again, that's the thing I'm in love with the first part here. All these noir touches here, like they leave the body in the car. Again, it feels like the act. Basically we leave kind of the actor to be discovered by the like paparazzi or reporter or something in the car. Sweet dreams, Slimeball. Call him Slimeball as we see him like start to ooze down the car. That's a good. I
love the slow reveal of him.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. We don't see him until we don't really get a good look at him. We get like a glimpse at him at the very.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So yes, so we build that up. Meanwhile, and I love this transition too. Like again, the origin of Clayface is juxtaposed with Batman kind of working facial recognition in the Batcave. I thought it was kind of a clever little.
Drag, I gotta say, I this show, it's one of the things I really love it for is the atmosphere, and I got every time we see a shot of the Batcave and we see like the scale of it and all the bats flying around, it's good. Good.
And they never had music in the Batcave.
I know it's simple, Dragon. I know it's a simple touch, but it works for me. It's like, it's great touch.
And this is where we're starting to get that Marv Wolfman Batman here, where he's a man of few words, but all those words are awesome. Where he has like, I know my fist is Alfred. I know my fist has landed on that jaw before. He's just piecing together where he remembers Bell from as he's putting the face together, and of course the face parallel. And basically, he discovers, okay, he has Raymond Bell's face. He kind of reads it as bona fide. He kind of gets the whole, like, where's the police band? So basically, that's Batman kind of figuring out a strategy how to get to that guy. Meanwhile, Alfred informs Bruce of something.
Yes. No biggie. Just, he's a prime suspect in a murder case, Or I'm sorry, not a murder case, but...
an assault case,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
The point is, basically Bruce Wayne's been framed, and the police are asking for Bruce. And this, Tiki, you've read the book too. It reminded me a little bit of Long Halloween. Remember, it reminded me of how Gordon and Harvey Dent went to Bruce Wayne's house asking Alfred to, if Bruce was in, so they could most likely arrest him.
Yeah.
Kind of remind me a little of that. But then again, this came before that, so I guess it's it's just now. Now I put it together. Oh, yeah, this came before that. Well, you never know. Anyway, so now Batman is extra motivated. I suppose he was extra motivated to clear his name because he knows these guys were there. So he knows he doesn't know exactly that like the guy himself was disguised as Bruce Wayne. He doesn't know why Bruce Wayne's getting the rap for it quite yet.
Mm-hmm. Then we come to the best scene in the episode, I think.
Oh, this is a great one here. I love the cleverness of this trap, by the way. And again, this is Wolfman right here. This is all Wolfman stuff. It's the cleverness of these like Batman kind of playing mind games like this and just kind of like the ultimate comeuppance for bad guys. That's all Wolfman Batman right there. So he has this clever trap set as he has put out a fake police band for Bell because he knows Bell's going to get that because he literally basically calls for an arrest as he's futzing with it from the Batwing where he's just like kind of talking into it and it's kind of laying it out like a all points bulletin, looking for Raymond Bell. Looking to arrest Raymond Bell if you see him. And Tiki, I've always loved this. I love the reaction on Bell. It's like the whole panic that is on his face when he hears his name called. Because again, this is the whole reason he puts a thing on, like, wait, what? He's driving off. He's on the run until he gets to the tunnel, and the Batwing, the Batwing arrives. And what happens?
Oh God, Dragon! I love the setup of this. It's so clever. It's like, you're not going to outrun the Batwing. You might think that you're home free in a tunnel, but.
And this is really cool, dude. This is how we kind of. I love it. We're seeing Batman kind of get a reputation built up for being the intimidating guy you do not want to go up against here. Where it's like Batman.
Sure.
These are the moments that build Batman's reputation of. Oh, remember that one time you had a run with Batman? How can I forget? He impaled my car and lifted me over the Gotham Bay. Like miles.
It's a very, very creative interrogation method. I'll give it that much.
He picks up, and again, Bruce Wayne's name. Like, he's getting really personally going to threaten Bruce Wayne on this one, so it's kind of Batman redeeming his name. And I will say this, just to address it here. I do like this episode, but I will say now, I wish they pushed more. They could have pushed more, like kind of the roles of of Bruce and Batman. They have that here and that. Okay, they have Bruce Wayne and Batman kind of being looked at as separate entities.
Just the idea of like Bruce being framed for something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's cool, and that's connecting to that idea. I just feel like we have an actor as our bad guy. I'm saying we could draw more of a parallel between the two of them.
Oh right, yeah.
I'm saying if we push that, I mean, it's there, but like it feels like we could be doing a little bit more. That's the only complaint I have on the rewatch of this, honestly. It's like we could have pushed the old actor comparison, because we've seen Bruce Wayne go on the cover a bunch of times before, like kind of the whole dual identity thing. But then again, we kind of do that a little bit of Two-Face. Maybe they're hedging their bets. I don't know. Anyway, so yes, interrogation. So now he's like impaled his car with the Batwing, and then he basically has like a little extending claw. And I have many iterations of the Batwing toy, and they all have this
nice
little extending claw, because basically extending claw comes out, removes the door, and it grabs Bells by the arm, and he's dangling Bell over Gotham. And I just got at first I look, he's dripping, he's like kind of skimming him against the water like a rock. And they lifts him over Gotham, and he's interrogating him. And who did you meet? Who met with Fox? Who met with Lucius Fox? Bruce Wayne. You lying sleaze. A lot of my favorite.
That's one of the things I love about Batman this episode, is that he's really on point with his insults.
I gotta say this, especially in the next part, Tiki. But I love my go. If I were ever get into when I'm writing something, or if I'm just kind of playing Batman to myself, with a voice just kind of throwing what would Batman say, that sort of thing. Or reading the comic, I would think to get into the interrogating mindset. I would always use lines from this episode. You lying sleaze. But my favorites in the next one, my go-to for when I think how would Batman sound, I always go with the Kevin Conroy Batman sounds in the next episode. We'll get there. So, who was it? Of course, Batman takes it a little too far, as it gets really intense with the other great line. This is one of my other ones here. It's like, who, Bell? Who? He holds him over the bay there, and Bell, I mean, how can you blame the guy? He faints.
Yeah, that's a great kind of logic to it, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can only push an intimidation tactic so far.
I love that we're getting this kind of early in the series. He's going to learn from this. Knows how far not to push it. It's like a little bit of a learning curve for Batman, which is
never start with the head.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And of course, I love Batman kind of reflects on that for a moment. He fainted. And of course, the cops, the GCPD show up, and some police copters, asking Batman to relinquish the prisoner. He drops him in a pool to wake him up. I always bothered me. They should have made the drop a lot closer, because it looks like a really long.
I noticed that too.
That's what I'm saying, folks.
Luck, you know what I mean? It was a lucky drop.
That's what I'm saying, folks. Looking back on this, there are a few fine tunes. We could have pushed some ideas forward. Maybe kind of scaled back just kind of the intimidation factor just a little,
Yeah, I mean, he's not exactly like crazy Steve Frank Miller Batman, but he's, maybe getting, dangerously close to that
I
territory
mean,
in
it is
some
suspension of
scenes.
disbelief in that regard. It's like, it's like, I mean, he fell in a pool of water, but then again, I'm not. If you argue
Right.
physics, the guy's dead 8 ways to Tuesday. But at least it's not as bad as like, well, other brutal interpretations. Anyway,
Yes, yes.
he doesn't like put, doesn't punch a guy across the room and there's no blood on the wall. Nothing like that. Anyway, so here's coming to the big ending here. So we have, here's a heartbreaking scene.
Yeah, this is what I'm talking about, man. I mean, I'm sure like Conroy's performance just knocks it out of the park here.
And again, this is what I'm talking about, the whole role thing we could have pushed, because we have like a great, we cut from a scene where we have a really intimidating Batman, and we then go to a scene where we have a really tender and nice Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So Bruce Wayne, he sneaks into Lucius's room in the hospital where he's being kept after being kind of knocked out and kind of taken for a loop. And I'm sorry, take it, sir.
Yeah, I mean, well, you might be able to do it better, but I'll do my best. He's just like, Lucius, you've got to believe me. I would never do anything to hurt you.
It's a really eerie scene, just again, like Bruce just being and again, is being completely taken off guard. People have cited
And
this
just the
as,
fact that, just the fact that Lucius is reacting the way he is, and Bruce is just like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening.
yeah, again, like, Lucius, what are you doing? I'm not, calm down. Because again,
Uh-huh.
he's reaching for the button, like again, you think Bruce is going to kill him in the room, and it's so again, we know how close Lucius Fox and Bruce Wayne are. It's like so sad to see that happen.
Right, right.
So, yeah, but also, like, yeah, a lot of people, just so you know, like a lot of people kind of criticize this scene, saying, "Why doesn't he go in the room as Batman?" It's like, yeah, it's a bit of a logical. But I'm going to argue this. I'm going to argue it again. It's because it's Lucius Fox, because it's personal. That's why Bruce is, doesn't want to.
Fair enough, fair
He
enough.
wants. He's trying to clear his name directly, but again, he's a little blinded by Lucius. That's what my logic. But yeah, it's anyway. So of course we kind of cut between the aftermath here. So Bruce Wayne is greeted by police, let's say.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, horrific ending here. Teddy finds Matt's car. We see we cut back to Bruce Wayne being arrested. Summer Gleason's reporting, and then the ultimate reveal.
Yeah, I mean, it really is kind of like a Cronenberg-esque reveal here. You know what I mean? It's very much in the body horror
I mean,
genre.
I love that. Again, it's so we're tackling like a brutal noir discovery, like the dead body, but instead it's something more kind of almost more horrific. Where we see like kind of the. I love we see like the clay body, and he puts his hand on his head initially because he doesn't know. He thinks that's like he doesn't even know it's a head because it's all bent down. And like he's like, oh, guy's got clay on his hand. And of course, the reveal through them here, like, Matt, is that you? Like, no. And Tiki, I love this. I love we save it for the very end. The Clayface theme is at the very end of the episode.
Right, right.
Dun, 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 dun. It's like the ultimate kind of two-parter music too. It's great, and that's where the episode ends.
Yep. Good stuff, Dragon. Good stuff. I don't necessarily want to. I don't really have too much to say about final thoughts. Yeah, it's a good origin piece. Like I said, I like how it kind of jumps into things a little bit faster than the typical origin does because we already have the Clayface angle, going on. Like you said, kind of like the Nolanized Clayface angle. A good build up. Like I said, I think the best scene is the whole Batwing chase. Like that is just like very cinematic, a really fun, very unconventional interrogation scene. Overall good stuff. Yeah, I think there's more to talk about with part two, but
So yeah, looking at this real quick, it's it's definitely a solid opening to the two-parter. I love the noir mystery vibe. It's I like that we're tackling gritty and heavy things in this episode again with kind of the Reeves and kind of Wolfman writing on that. I mean, just keep highlighting that. I'm saying it's kind of the best kind of example I have. Just kind of describe that. Again, I will respect it here too. This is something that's really hard to pull off in animation as well. I mean, they keep it vague, but it didn't hurt the episode. The corporate espionage thing. It's kind of corporate espionage done right instead of boring.
yeah.
Because again, what they did that was strategic. Sorry, what they did that was strategic is that we tie it to someone who we could see that Batman cares about with Lucius Fox, and then we kind of tie the espionage something very simple like a handoff going south, and it's tied to this guy. It's kept simple and without getting convoluted and something's going to lose a kid's attention. It's like, okay, someone got hurt and Bruce Wayne's being blamed for it. Pretty direct. And
Sure.
again, we have attempted murder too. I mean, that's a heavy thing. We have a lot of attempted murder in this one.
Mm-hmm.
Leaves you wanting more at the end. Most absolutely, that's what you want up kind of in a two-parter for your first part act break. So a successful episode. Could have pushed a few things, but yeah, it was a good episode.
All right, check this out.
Right. So let's get in the Bulldozer Batman mode for part 2. All right. Actor turned mudman. Plastic surgery in a jar. TMS animated this one. Sign me up. Can Batman put an end to Bruce Wayne's identity crisis? Will Clayface wipe Roland Daggett from the face of the earth? Find out. Same animated bat time, same animated bat place.
On the next visit to the animated Batcave with Feet of Clay, Part 2.